The first movement of Bach's First Sonata for cello and piano, Glenn Gould with Leonard Rose. Now, Your Highness, you live in that beautiful palace up on the rock. That's a very ancient building.
Well, it was constructed first as a fortress and made a little more livable through the years, but it was never built originally as a dwelling.
Do you have a strong sense of history? Do you visualize the past as you walk through the state apartment?
Oh, very much so. And, of course, as there have been many changes through the centuries, it's always fascinating to see and to notice and think of how it was before and what made them change in this particular way.
Do you have another, less formal residence for weekends and holidays?
Yes, we do. We have a small farm in the hills behind Monaco.
And you have 3 children, is that right?
Yes.
Now, the area of Monaco is what, about?
I'm not sure. It's very small.
3 miles by 8, I worked it out looking at a map, but that's not an official figure.
Well, Monaco was larger until 100 years ago. It was sort of a wedge between Italy and France. And when the towns of Menton and Roquebrune and some of the others elected to become French, yes, Monaco was reduced to its present size. And at the time, Prince Charles, in order to provide employment for the people who lost their lands, as the occupation was mainly citrus growing and production of olive oil, he created Monte Carlo as a resort in order to give employment to the Monegasques at that time.
And some of the principality, of course, consists of mountains, so all the usable land had to be used very intensively.
Yes.
Which accounts for all those high-rise buildings.
That's right.
And even to the extent of the railways been put underground now, that gives a little more space.
Yes, and it was quite an engineering feat. It wasn't just underground, it was through the mountain.
Now, of course, there's an enormous amount of revenue coming out of each square foot. What are the main assets of Monaco?
The principal source of income is through tourism, of
yes,
course, but we have quite a bit of light industry.
Gambling isn't as big as it was because there are other casinos up and down the coast.
Yes, it's really a very small percentage of the income of the Principality right now.
And postage stamps. So many people collect.
Yes, well, that's very important and a very big source of income to us.
Some of your flower designs have been used on the stamps.
Yes, they have.
Now, there's a fine opera house. You mentioned the orchestra just now. Among your innovations is an international arts festival.
Yes, which incorporates all of the artistic expressions.
What's been going on in recent years? What have been your triumphs?
We have an important musical program. Our concerts in the autumn. We have ballet at Christmas and Easter and also in the summertime. Our opera season begins the end of January and goes through March. We have a series of concerts in the palace courtyard in the summertime with many guest artists and guest conductors. These are very successful. We're able to seat about 1,000 people in the courtyard of the palace. And these concerts have been going for about 20 years now. They've been very successful and very pleasant.
Well, it must be marvellous to have concerts like that right outside your own house.
Yes, right inside.
Inside, yeah. Although you've made no more films, you still like to perform. You've been giving poetry recitals.
Yes, this is something I started a few years ago, and I've enjoyed it very much. It's been very pleasant, and it's something that I can do without being away from Monaco for any long period of time.
Another record, please.
But this time I would like to choose a selection from a record that I made with Richard Pascoe of one of our poetry programs called Birds, Beasts and Flowers. And this is a selection from Shakespeare, from Venus and Adonis, the Proud Horse.
Imperiously he leaps, he neighs, he bounds, and now his woven girths he breaks asunder. The bearing earth with his hard hoof he wounds, whose hollow womb resounds like heaven's thunder. The iron bit he crusheth 'tween his teeth, controlling what he was controlled with. His ears uppricked, his braided hanging mane upon his compassed crest, now stand on end.
Richard Pascoe reading The Proud Horse from Shakespeare's Venus and Adonis. From the disc, Birds, Beasts and Flowers. Now, you've always been particularly fond of flowers. As a child, I believe you used to steal them and sell them. Is that right?
Oh, well, I mention it in my book because it was something that we did for my mother's charity. And we were chastised for having helped ourselves to the neighbours' gardens. And this career was stopped very much in the bud.
Now, this book, a book about flowers called My Book of Flowers. You formed a garden club in Monaco yourself.
Yes, I did about 15 years ago.
And it's booming.
It's doing very well, yes. And I think it's brought a lot of pleasure to many people, and that's important.
What are its activities, apart from encouraging people to grow flowers and tend them?
Well, it's to awaken an interest and love of flowers and to encourage a respect for nature. Each spring I organize a competition of flower arranging in May, early in May. And it's an international competition. We've had people from all over the world, and it's been very nice and very successful.
Now, your flower pictures, these are pressed flowers.
Yes, I started doing this a few years ago and became absolutely fascinated by it. And it's been a source of great joy to me to be able to do these.
Some of them are very intricate and very colourful. You gave an exhibition in Paris.
Yes, I've had 2 exhibits in Paris.
Now, in the book, you cover pretty well everything. The use of herbs, which is fascinating, and flowers in literature, and cacti. And of course, the Jardin Exotique, one of the glories of Monaco.
Yes, we have a wonderful garden. It's quite a unique collection that was started about 80 years ago.
You like to talk to flowers, don't you?
Oh, yes. Trees, too.
And now we got to record number 7.
Well, I love the London symphonies of Haydn, and so I've chosen one, The Clock, played by the Academy of St. Martin in the Fields.
The minuet from Haydn's Clock Symphony, Symphony number 101 in D. Now, the practical problems of being a castaway, could you look after yourself? Could you build a shelter of some sort?
Well, I don't know. With great difficulty, I imagine.
Were you ever a Girl Scout?
I was a Girl Scout, yes.
So you've camped out, done all that sort of thing?
Oh, yes, indeed. So I think I could survive if the weather isn't too difficult. We don't know where this island is, do we?
We don't know, but it's not a bad island. It's got everything on it that you need, if you can find out how to use it.
I think I could manage to rig up something.
Now, what about small craft?
Do I have to have one? I suppose to get off this island, because I hope I don't have to stay too long.
Well, that's it. If you want to escape, you've got to have something to escape on, a raft.
I'll have to make a raft, of course.
Do you think you'd manage?
Oh, yes, yes.
Would you know which way to go? Do you know anything about stars or navigation?
Yes, I do know the stars.
Splendid. Well, fine. We'll look forward to seeing you back very soon. What's your last record?
My last record is Cacciaturian, because I think on this island I need to have something a little lively to stir the blood and keep me going. So I've chosen the sabre dance of Cacciaturian.
Khachaturian's Sabre Dance, the composer conducting the Vienna Philharmonic Orchestra. If you could take only one disc of your 8, which one would it be?
I suppose the Berceuse of Chopin.
Right. And you're allowed to take one luxury with you to the island, something of no practical use.
Well, I would like it to have a practical use. Well, I assume we have a record player so I can listen to all of this.
Oh, yes, you've got
all
a
right.
solar-powered
Very good.
record player.
Well, I think I would have to take my 2 pillows that I need to sleep, because I can't sleep anywhere without my 2 pillows. I take them everywhere with me.
All right, 2 pillows. And one book, apart from the Bible and Shakespeare, which are already on the island.
Well, I think I would take a collection of my Uncle George Kelly's plays.
Mm-hmm.
Then I could keep busy playing all the parts and having a good time.
And put on a season when you got home.
Yes.
And thank you, Your Serene Highness, for letting us have your choice of Desert Island Disc.
Thank you very much.
Goodbye, everyone.
You've been listening to a download from the Desert Island Discs archive. For more downloads, please visit the Radio 4 website.